Hello, this is Danny, welcoming you to the 2183rd edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 21st of March 2019. Readers this week are Danny, John, Kitty and Marc, with Peter on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Joan, Jeanne and Keith. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and the March edition of Enfield Dispatch magazine. The lead story this week, Wake-up call for mental health after reality star's death. Before the news, we have the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning 25th March 2019. And they are sunrise at 5:53 and sunset at 18:21. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. And an announcement. Enfield Vision are holding a drop-in morning on Monday the 1st of April at Community House, 311 4th Street, Edmonton, N9OPZ, from 10:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. Refreshments will be available. Anthony Thomas from Sight and Sound Technology will be demonstrating equipment. We look forward to seeing you, and that notice is from Diane de Jersey, Chairman of Enfield Vision. And now Marc will read the first item of news.
Search for answers after burglary death. More CCTV footage has been released as the investigation into the tragic death of a 98-year-old continues. Police were called to Peter Goldstone's home in Evesham Road in Enfield on November the 6th, 2018, after the 98-year-old was found suffering from a head injury and bruising. He was taken to hospital where he sadly died a few weeks later. Detectives from the Met's Homicide and Major Crime Command are investigating and are now seeking information on an attempted burglary which took place in a nearby street at 8:25 p.m. on November the 5th, 2018. The same evening, Mr. Goldstone's home was broken into. CCTV images show two men entering the back garden of a property where they looked through the windows and attempted to open the doors before leaving the scene. Detective Inspector Alison Cole said, "We believe there were at least 3 men involved in this attempted burglary, and we are keen to speak to them. We are appealing for anyone who thinks they may know these individuals to get in touch with any information, no matter how small." Mr. Goldstone tragically died following a senseless attack in his own home, and we are doing all we can to help his family get the justice they deserve. Police are also keen to remind people to get in touch should they be offered a 26-inch Panasonic television, model TX L26X10B, which was stolen from Mr. Goldstone's home. The appeal featured on BBC's Crime Watch Roadshow on Monday the 18th of March, and a Crime Stoppers reward of £10,000 remains on offer for anyone who can provide information leading to an arrest and conviction of this offence. Anyone with information concerning this incident should contact police by dialling 101 and quoting 214/6NOV or calling the incident room on 020-8345-3715. Alternatively, to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers charity on 0800 555 111 or use their non-traceable anonymous online form.
Wake-up call for mental health after reality star's death. It is believed Mr. Phalacaitis' death comes just days after his nan passed away, aged 94. He had moved in with her to become her full-time carer. The news of the death of a close friend on Christmas Eve was also reported to have shocked the Love Island star. A Met spokesperson said police were called to a park near Latimer Way, Edmonton, at 9:28 a.m. on Saturday, March the 16th, to reports of a man found hanged. Officers and the London Ambulance Service attended and found the man, aged in his 20s, deceased. At this early stage, death is not being treated as suspicious. People are in the process of informing the man's next of kin. A file will be prepared for the coroner. Tributes have poured in from his co-stars and friends in the industry since his death was announced on Saturday. Fellow co-star Montana Brown has urged mental health to be taken more seriously after admitting she knew that he was in a dark place. First, I'm so angry for you doing this because you are so loved by so many people. And I wish you'd picked up the phone so we could have sorted this out. This didn't need to happen, she said. The 23-year-old also urged the public not to use the infamous nickname Muggy Mike, coined during his time on the show, out of respect. Actress Sheridan Smith also voiced her concerns, stating the tragic death should be a wake-up call. Ms. Smith wrote on Twitter, "This should be a massive wake-up call. I feel sick. Reach out, sometimes to the most confident friend. We can only learn and try to change. I think we owe it to these kids who don't know what they're getting into." The lack of support the ITV2 show offers contestants after leaving has also received backlash from Love Island stars Jess Shears and Dom Lever. Shows offer you support, but realistically, it's only while you are in their care. The minute you get home and are no longer making the money, it's out of sight, out of mind, Ms. Shears wrote. There should be ongoing support and also financial advice. Life after these shows isn't all it's cracked up to be. A former semi-professional footballer, Mr. Thalasitis, was set to open his own restaurant, rumoured to have been set to take place next week.
Praise for Cycle Enfield for creating a nicer environment. Enfield's cycle lanes have made travel safer and could be bringing more customers to local shops, cyclists have claimed. Members of campaign group Better Streets for Enfield say the cycle lanes along the A105 green lanes are encouraging more people to get onto their bikes and travel around the borough. And while some shops have blamed the cycle lanes for a fall in revenue, from which they are still struggling to recover, many cyclists disagree. They say cyclists do use local businesses, and even if they can't carry as much on a bike as they can in a car, they make more frequent trips to the shops. Catherine Findlater, who lives in Palmer's Green, said she felt safer using the cycle lanes to travel around Enfield. She said, "Before the cycle lanes were put in, people would close past me and I would be cut off as I approached a junction. That happens less frequently. We feel a few degrees safer, particularly as we always have a child with us." Ms. Findlater said she now felt quite safe enough to cycle up to Winchmore Hill with her son, whereas before they would have to catch the bus. She added, "I am never going to suggest the construction of the lanes did not cause disruption, but I don't believe cycle lanes are preventing people going into shops. You could argue that a cyclist or someone who has walked is going to be spending more time in the area. They are not going to be thinking of going back to top up the pay and display machine." Will Hoyle, who lives in Enfield Town and describes himself as an occasional cyclist, used to travel to Pims Park to take part in the Saturday Park Run, but now he cycles. He said, "For me, it is the safety. It humanises the area a lot more and reduces the speed of cars. It is a lot easier to shop when you're on a bike. You are not driving around looking for a parking space." Mr. Hoyle added that the construction of the cycle lanes could probably have been handled better by the council, but pointed out that businesses were being affected by a global downturn. He said, "I think shops overstate the trade they get from driving. Most people don't drive to a cafe, they walk or cycle." Palmer's Green resident Claire Rogers said, "Cycle Enfield has changed people's behaviour. There are now more women and children cycling. Now you can't drive more than 20 miles an hour. We have not got the congestion. Traffic is calmer, and it is more pedestrian-friendly as an environment. Before Cycle Enfield came in, I travelled everywhere by car. Now I've started shopping in Winchmore Hill because it is so nice to get up there by bike." Miss Rogers said she sympathised with shops struggling to make ends meet, but pointed out that high streets were struggling across the country due to the rise of online shopping. Cycle instructor David Hilliard said he often taught women in their 30s who had never had the opportunity to learn how to ride a bike. He said, "Quite often you ask them why they want to learn, and they say it is because of the cycle lanes." Hal Haynes, who lives in Palmer's Green, said he and his 2 teenage daughters often used the cycle lanes. He said, "The traffic on green lanes used to be quite fast, and you would have to pull out in front of cars. You don't have any of that anymore. To me, it is a nicer environment. It looks like a nicer place to shop.
Family cleared of charges relating to exorcism death. 7 members of a family who were accused of imprisoning and killing a young man during a 3-day exorcism have been cleared of all charges. Kennedy Ife, 26, died after he was allegedly restrained at their £1.3 million home in Lancaster Avenue, Enfield, in August 2016. The Old Bailey heard his parents and brothers mistakenly believed he was possessed by evil spirits, so they set about curing him. All 7 accused were found not guilty of manslaughter. The prosecution claimed the IT consultant was restrained for 67 hours at the 7-bedroom Enfield mansion and treated like an animal or detainee. But Mr. Ife's parents, Kenneth, 64, and Josephine, 56, along with his brothers Roy, 33, Harry, 32, Colin, 26, Samuel, 20, and Daniel, 20, denied the charges. Jurors heard the family held deep religious beliefs and were connected with the Jesus Sanctuary Ministries in southeast London. On 19 August 2016, Kennedy Ife became aggressive, hit his father, and threatened to cut off his own penis, so his mother sought advice from a minister rather than seeking medical help. Rather than taking him to see a GP, his mother, known at the church as Sister Jo, did seek advice from a minister the court heard. Family then set about attempting to cure Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days, jurors were told. Roy Ife said his brother's actions were shocking to hear, but he did not consider calling professional help because it was a domestic issue. Kenneth Ife told jurors he ordered his sons to take shifts and use overwhelming force, but denied that an association with cults, occults, and secret societies played any part in the death. The 26-year-old was pronounced dead after Harry Ife called emergency services, saying his brother had been complaining of dehydration. An investigation was launched by detectives from the Homicide and Major Crime Command after a post-mortem examination conducted the following day established cause of death as cardiorespiratory arrest in association with restraint and acute behavioural disturbance. The jury deliberated over 4 days to find them not guilty of manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult.
Library praised for World War I project. Edmonton Green Library has been commended for its effort to educate children about the life of footballer and World War I officer Walter Tull. The library, run by Enfield Council, partnered Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and Big Ideas to host class visits for more than 100 primary school children to focus on the life of Walter Tull. He was the first black man to become an officer in the British Army and one of England's first black footballers playing for Spurs. The library received a certificate of commendation awarded by Big Ideas and the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government for its undertaking. Big Ideas specialise in delivering community and education projects, provided materials for the class visits. Councillor Achilles Georgiou, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Children's Services, said, "Staff at Edmonton Green Library greatly deserve this commendation for their efforts to educate primary school children about Walter Tull, cultivating an understanding of the historical context surrounding the diverse lives of individuals who served in World War I. The library's work with the borough's children was a significant way to help shape their perception of World War I, allowing them to understand an important part of British history in a way that makes it both personal and relevant to themselves. The visits aimed to promote social inclusion and historical awareness of major people who fought for Britain within the setting of last year's centenary of the World War I armistice. The children were given access to books and materials about Walter Tull and the importance of Black British history.
Businessman speaks out in support of ULEZ. A business owner has welcomed the ultra-low emission zone, known as ULEZ, but says it is the minimum companies should do to clean up the environment. Bruce Brackley set up First Mile 15 years ago and now provides recycling services for other businesses with 250 employees. The business owner who prides himself on being environmentally friendly, has welcomed the ULEZ, which is set to come into force in central London on April the 19th. This means drivers will be made to pay a £12.50 charge or buy a vehicle which meets certain emission standards. Mr. Brack said, companies need to change their business model to become more environmentally friendly. If a small business wants to run in the centre of London, they should comply with the ULEZ. Toxic air is polluting the streets and costing thousands of premature deaths every year. I do have sympathy with individuals driving in London, but for businesses to take advantage of central London economy, they need to upgrade their vehicles. The company, which now has 70 vehicles, has been upgrading its vans for the last 3 years to meet the ULEZ emission standards. It also has a small cargo bike and 3 electric vehicles. But Mr. Brackley said upgrading vehicles to meet ULEZ emission standards should be the minimum businesses do to become more environmentally friendly. He said companies can do a lot more than the ULEZ. Air quality is a key part of it, making the environment better, and we all need to work together towards managing it and reducing it. Mr. Brackley said the Islington-based business has taken up a number of other measures in a bid to become more environmentally friendly. These include putting less vehicles on the road by making each van do more deliveries at once and getting their vehicles to make quicker and more efficient journeys to reduce pollution. He added, I think businesses are all becoming more switched on and have invested in more environmental projects. I think consumers are putting more pressure on corporations to change their bad habits, and they have in turn started to change what they are doing.
Extra funding boost for youth crime intervention programme. Enfield Council has been awarded nearly £493,000 in a bid to support early interventions to turn children away from gangs and crime. The award from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government is a share of a £9.5 million Supporting Families Against Youth Crime Fund that will be divided amongst community-backed projects in 21 areas across England which are vulnerable to the devastating effects of knife crime and gang culture. The fund will help key workers, community groups, teachers and other professionals working with children and young people at risk to intervene early and help stop them from being drawn into gang crime and serious youth violence. Enfield will use its £492,691 share to create a school-based initiative in 4 primary schools. By intervening in years 5 and 6, the Council and its partners will put measures in place to prevent any escalation into more serious violence and criminal activity that can often happen at the transition to secondary school. The model will deliver direct specialist support to those children most at risk of entering into serious youth crime. Intensive support will be offered, including direct one-to-one mentoring for the individual children, group work activities, and coordinated support for the families. Additional support will be available for parents, siblings, friends, and the school community. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Councillor Achilles Georgiou, said the additional funding will allow us to put an emphasis on early intervention programmes, helping us to tackle some of the complex challenges facing youths and families head-on at an early stage. In addition, we will support schools, carers, volunteers and community groups to work together to help Enfield's young people. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Cohesion, Councillor Neka Kizor, added, over the past few years, London has seen a shocking rise in youth crime, and in particular, knife crime. It is with huge regret that we have seen this in our beloved borough too. Enfield Council therefore welcomes the extra funding that will complement existing efforts. As well as working closely with schools and young people, we really need the government to increase significantly investment in policing, so the residents of Enfield and other parts of the country have a service that is properly resourced. Councillor Kizor recently wrote to the Home Secretary on the issue of policing, and the council has been lobbying the government to provide extra money for policing amid concerns there are too few officers in the borough. Meanwhile, Enfield Council continues to fund 16 additional police officers on estates, despite its shrinking budget, and investing over £1 million a year on CCTV to deter crime and provide invaluable evidence for police investigations.
Launch of Home Swap Scheme. Enfield tenants can take advantage of an innovative free scheme which gives them the chance to swap tenancies between council and other social landlord properties. The Home Swapper website allows tenants to register their interest in home swapping, advertise their property and give details of the type of home they are interested in. They can specify a property 1 bedroom size larger than the property they currently occupy or smaller homes. The website will then match tenants with properties which meet their requirements in the areas they specify. To be eligible for the scheme, known as mutual exchange, tenants need to be approved as secure tenants, have a clear rent account, and have no other breaches of tenancy. Once a tenant has been matched with a home, they complete an application form. Their application is processed by Enfield Council. At present, 836 Enfield Council tenants are on the Home Swapper website. Visit www.homeswapper.co.uk.
Vow to tackle hidden epidemic. Enfield Council could put attempts to reduce loneliness and social isolation at the heart of its decision-making in a bid to tackle what has been dubbed a hidden epidemic. Local authority has proposed tackling the growing social problem by assessing how each of its decisions could affect loneliness in the borough, in a similar way to its current practice of including equalities, impacts, assessments in council reports. A plan to include information on the social impact of decisions is one of a series of recommendations set out in a report on loneliness presented to the council's cabinet on Tuesday, March the 12th. The report also suggests using buildings such as libraries and art centres to provide a focus for activities in each ward, in a similar way to village halls up and down the country. It adds that funding community uses for empty shops and allowing restaurants to provide more outdoor tables could help to encourage more people to go out and socialise in the evenings. Working with schools to educate youngsters about relationships and the dangers of social media and encouraging more extracurricular activities such as volunteering are further proposals outlined in the report. Investing startup funds in community projects such as Good Gym, Big Lunch, community litter clearances and soup kitchens would also help tackle loneliness. The report follows a year of work by the Council's Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which asks councillors, experts and members of community groups for ideas on reducing loneliness. It states that the impact of loneliness and social isolation is a growing public health issue that can harm both physical and mental health. The problem can also cost up to £6,000 per person in health costs and pressure on local services. Committee Chairman, Councillor Derek Levy, states in the report, "Dealing with social isolation cannot be managed by any single department in isolation. To coin a phrase, we are all in this together, and working together we, probably far more effectively on the ground than any government minister for loneliness can do, can really make a difference to so many lives."
Opticians support comic relief for the 3rd year running. Specsavers once again supported comic relief, with Specsavers Enfield selling funny frames in store. It is the 3rd Red Nose Day that Specsavers has supported the charity by launching the red glasses. Since 2015, Specsavers stores have been raising funds for comic relief, and this year, stores smashed the £1 million fundraising mark. The comic relief frames were sold at £2 each, with 100% of the proceeds going to the charity. Customers who would like to recycle the glasses will be able to return them to the store, and they will be sent on to a recycling company. For more information, visit www.specsavers.co.uk.
The next articles are from the March edition of EN Magazine. £5,000 funding for local projects. Residents of Enfield have a fantastic opportunity to turn their creative ideas on how to make the borough a better place to live into a reality. The Council's Enfield Now project is again partnering with crowdfunding platform Spacehive to offer support and to ensure the viability of pitches for funding. Enfield now has a funding pot of £50,000 and can match fund up to 50% to a maximum of £5,000 per project, which can be added to what you raised from the crowd. The crowdfunding programme is open to all groups and individuals in the borough. A workshop being held on 6th March at the Civic Centre will explain more on how to get started, and ideas need to be submitted by the 22nd of April. We are particularly interested in supporting projects in regeneration areas and town centres, which would help communities come together. Examples could be projects to develop new skills, improve well-being, increase green spaces, and to support leisure and cultural activities. Enfield Council's leader, Councillor Nezil Kaliskan, said, "Enfield Now is about empowering people to creatively develop and support projects that will enhance our towns, parks and communal spaces. We would like Enfield residents to look closely at how they think they can add value to local communities. Those with the right amount of creativity and drive will be given the full support of Spacehive and Enfield Council every step of the way. Whatever the project, we ask that they are fun, exciting, accessible, promote volunteering, boost quality of life, and enhance the local community. More information on Spacehive can be found at www.spacehive.com.
Can you join the Cleaner Neighbourhood Group? The Enfield Society is continuing its aims of conservation and enhancement of the civic and natural environments of the London Borough of Enfield, and are inviting residents to join them in cleaning up the local area. If you wish to join them for the next scheduled event of the Cleaner Neighbourhood Group, they shall be pleased to see you. It will take place on Saturday morning of the 23rd of March, when they shall turn their attention to the boundary stream footpath in Ponders End. The meeting point will be the small car park adjacent to the former Boundary House public house, which is at 3 High Street, EN3 4EJ. This can be reached by way of the 191 bus from Enfield Town, light at the Nightingale Road bus stop, and the meeting point is then just a few minutes walk back in the direction from which the bus has come. The journey from Enfield Town takes about 25 minutes. Meet at 10 o'clock a.m. and expect to be on site for between 2 and 3 hours. Participation will be at your own risk. Equipment such as litter grabbers will be provided, but please wear stout footwear as the path might be muddy and uneven in places.
Poop happens. Dogs of all breeds and sizes joined Enfield Council to launch the Poop Happens campaign, designed to keep our parks and open spaces clear of dog fouling. The Poop Happens programme aims to see dog owners take responsibility by picking up after their dogs. Enfield Council was met by professional dog trainer Claire Grierson of Muddy Mutleys and a number of proud dog owners to demonstrate their support for the campaign. They meet regularly at Berry Lodge Park in Bush Hill Park for lessons and, of course, come armed with plenty of disposable dog poop bags. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Gurney Doggan, said, "Not only is dog fouling unpleasant and unsightly, it's unhygienic, spreads diseases, and is costly for the council to tackle. Importantly, responsible dog ownership requires owners to clean up after their dogs. Owners who don't do this can be issued with a £100 fixed penalty notice. Refusal to pay can lead to prosecution and a criminal record with a maximum fine of £1,000. Other interventions have already helped to keep public spaces cleaner and safer for users. Last year, Enfield Council worked with the Dogs Trust on creating a walking route in Trent Country Park, encouraging dog walkers and their pooches along a mapped-out route which is well serviced with bins. By nudging dog owners along this route, there was a reduction in dog filing by 53%. According to the Dogs Trust. Residents can report dog fouling online at new.enfield.gov.uk/services/environment/dog-fouling/ If the person responsible for leaving waste cannot be found, the council will clean up the street as part of their regular street cleaning routine.
What is an Easter panto? What is an Easter panto? Is a regular question I get asked. If we look back a number of years, there would be Christmas, Easter, and even summer pantomimes, but these were on the decline. In September 2011, during the Christmas panto season at Millfield Arts Centre, I found myself thinking, why don't we do an Easter panto? We had just taken over the Dugdale Centre in Enfield Town and were looking at what shows we could programme there. Now, to create a panto for Millfield is a huge amount of work, and we would only be able to offer 4 performances. It wouldn't be worth all the effort for such a minimal return. But with the smaller capacity of just 95 seats, a Dugdale would be perfect, and we could run the show for 2 weeks. That was all it took to convince me to try it out. Marc Day, creative producer and creator of the Millfield Pantos, told us it would mean we could create pantomime versions of some of the classic fairy tales not often performed in the pantomime style. We could make the show smaller and shorter, so it would be suitable for younger children and offer families an opportunity to see if their children would sit through a live theatre show. Year on year, the popularity of the Easter Panto at the Dugdale Centre has grown, and we are confident that this year's production of Rapunzel will be no different. Rapunzel will be our 8th, and will see the return of some cast members from not only previous Easter Pantos, but also the Millfield ones. Playing Rapunzel will be Lottie Daisy Francis, who was Princess Alice in last year's Puss in Boots, and Beauty in Beauty and the Beast at Christmas, along with Paul Cleveland, who played Madame Fifi in the same production. Lydia Rose Bertie, who was Puss in last year's Puss in Boots, returns to show us her witchetty side. Joining with them will be Inti Conde, who creates the role of King Harry from the Hoxton Hall production in December, and Daniel Urch, who will be playing the handsome and heroic Prince Richard. With tickets selling fast and Easter not that far away, we highly recommend you book your seats now by calling our box office on 020 8807 6680 or online at www.dugdalecentre.co.uk. Performances from 3rd of April to the 22nd of April. Various times. Please check these on the website, again www.dugdalecentre.co.uk for more details. Tickets are £14.50 full price, £13 for child and concessions, and £50 for a family ticket based on 4 tickets, minimum 2 children.
Football. McKenna nets treble in Borough triumph. Early setback overcome as Enfield earn comfortable win. Enfield Borough moved closer to the Spartan South Midlands League Division 1 playoff places, courtesy of a 5-1 win over Langford that moves them level on points with their opponents. Brandon McKenna's hat-trick was added to by Thomas Opoku and Tage Kennedy goals after Martin Wells had given Langford an early lead. Wells gave Langford the lead when he steered home after Harry Poulton's shot had deflected off Opoku into his path. But Borough settled into the game and soon levelled the scores when Dennis Karakaya flicked on McKenna's corner and Opoku was on hand to hammer home. Langford keeper Ben Watson produced an excellent save to deny Opoku, but not long after the game was turned on its head when McKenna sidestepped a challenge in the box to finish his first and then finding Kennedy's cutback to give Borough a 2-goal cushion at the break. Both sides were creating limited opportunities in a lacklustre start to the second half, with Charlie Rome failing to make contact from a corner and Opoku pulling a shot wide. However, the introduction of Mika Jackson sparked new life into Borough, and they soon added a fourth when McKenna seized on a parried shot and was brought down by the keeper, and he calmly stepped up to convert the penalty to complete his hat-trick. The chance for a fifth came Borough's way with 9 minutes left, when Jackson threaded a ball through for Opoku, and when he was tripped in the area as he ran through, regular penalty taker Kennedy assumed the responsibility and found the top corner with ease.
Towners stay in the play, off chase after Ives' late leveller. Enfield Town remain in the hunt for a playoff place despite being held by Bognor Regis Town in a thrilling 3-3 draw in the Bostik League Premier Division, with Saturday's game locked at 2-2, courtesy of Lewis Taff and Sam Cheney for the hosts and Theo Widrington and Bradley Lethbridge for the visitors. Mason Walsh looked to have won it for Bognor late on, but Kezi Ibe was credited with the final touch from a corner to tie the game once more. It took only 8 minutes for Enfield to open the scoring when, after good work from Joe Payne and Matt Johnson, had won them a free kick. It was thundered home by Tariff for a superb opener. 6 minutes later, though, the visitors drew level when a free kick from the right-hand edge of the home area was squared to Widrington by Harvey White, and his shot snuck in at the near post. Towners responded, and Marc Weatherstone went close when he headed wide from Ibe's flick-on, and Billy Bricknell spurned 2 chances when he couldn't latch on to Tav's ball and when he had an effort blocked by Harvey Reid. The two sides continued to exchange opportunities in the second half, with Peter Durran keeping out Johnson at one end and Matt Nolan denying Walsh at the other. It was Bognor who would go on to get the next goal when Walsh attacked down the wing and squared across the left bridge to tuck in the second for the visitors. Enfield weren't kept quiet for long enough, and they levelled the scores once more 4 minutes later when Cheney was able to just about bundle the ball past Durin. However, the game swung once more, and the 82nd minute Bognor were in the lead again, courtesy of Walsh, whose corner was caught by the wind and carried all the way in at the far post, beyond Nolan, to leave the hosts in danger of finishing on the receiving end of a cruel defeat. This end-to-end game had one more twist, though. After Bricknell was denied by a fine goal line clearance from Keaton Wood, Ibe was credited with the last touch from Cheney corner after the linesman had flagged that the ball had crossed the line before being cleared away. The point leaves Enfield in 7th place in the table, 2 points and 2 places behind Worthing, who occupy the final playoff spot. Next up for the Towners is the short trip down the A10 to Haringey Borough this Saturday.
Academy side beaten, Ignatian's youngsters show battling qualities. Enfield Ignatian's under-13s shone at the weekend as they battled past a tough Haringey side, winning 35-30. The exciting game saw the lead change hand 4 times, with the Blues and Goals eventually coming through and having the final say in the match. Meanwhile, the Academy side went down 47-5 against Cheshunt in their Hearts Middlesex under-18s Division 4 clash. Stanley Adepegba Ogidan notched the only try for the visitors, while Wasim Sumuru was given the Man of the Match award. The Ignatians' first team are back in action on Saturday when they travel to Hampstead in London 2 North West.
And now for some hockey. Victory maintains the pressure near Summit. Southgate kept pace with the top of the East Conference with a 6-4 win over Old Loutonians at Trent Park. The visitors took the lead early on when Maciej Janiewski scored after just 4 minutes. The advantage was short-lived as Alex Williams equalised when he steered in the rebound from a penalty corner. The visitors restored their lead in the 11th minute through Andrew McGregor, but 10 minutes later it was all square again when John Sterlini converted from the penalty spot and Joe Sterlini edged the hosts ahead just before the break with a first-time finish from a penalty corner. Southgate were playing with the wind in the second half and made good use of it early on when Rob Schilling's deflected effort went in. Janiszewski converted his second to bring Old Loutonians back into it. However, Southgate proved too good in the closing stages, and goals from Schilling and Johnny Maunder sealed the points, despite William Smith adding a 4th for the away side.
Innovative Beatles tribute band to perform live show. The Oxford Beatles are a cover band that perform the music of the Beatles with not a wig nor funny accent in sight. On Saturday, April 27, the band are bringing their songs from the Studio Years show to the Millfield Theatre in Edmonton. The Studio Years show sees the band focusing on the more complex Beatles songs that mark the band's transition from live touring act to innovative studio band. The show will include includes songs from Revolver, spanning all the way to Let It Be, a 4-year period of recording that includes classics such as Something, Here Comes the Sun, and Revolution. Performing as a 5-piece at the Millfield, audiences can expect to hear some of the more complex songs from this period. The band reproduced the iconic Billy Preston keys parts of the late Beatles material, including Get Back and Don't Let Me Down. The show sold out at the Old Fire Station in Oxford in 2018 and is part of a long line of innovative events that the band have organised in recent years, including live performances of Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, accompanied by an orchestra and Indian classical musicians. The Millfield Theatre, Silver Street, Edmonton, Saturday, April 27, 7:45 p.m. Telephone 020-8807 6680, millfieldtheatre.co.uk.
The following is information on the Diabetes Support Group. Come and gain support on how to manage your diabetes. It's on the last Tuesday of the month between 1:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. Group is open to adults aged 18 or over, and it focuses on giving support, information and advice on how to live well with diabetes. For more information, please call 020 8375 4120 or email ican@ageUKenfield.org.uk. Or alternatively, you can visit the website at www.ageuk.org.uk/Enfield. The group is situated at Green Towers Community Centre, 7 Plevna Road, Edmonton, London N9 OBT, and the next meeting is on Tuesday the 26th of March.
The Arts Society Enfield Monthly Lecture. The next lecture takes place on Thursday the 28th of March. Subject, 1930s Glamour and Grime. Lectures are held at St Paul Centre, Church Street, Enfield, EN2 6AR, on the last Thursday morning of each month. Coffee is served from 10 a.m. until 10:30. Notices follow at 10:35 and the lecture starts at 10:40. Guests are welcome at £6 per head.
And now, Friday the 29th of March, 1:30 p.m, is the Broomfield exhibition talk on the Landscroon murals. It's held at the Community Room, Palmer's Green Library, Broomfield Lane, N13 4EY. The speaker will be Dr. Marc Banting. Tickets are rather limited. You need to phone 020 8807 6680 or email at ticket@oneenfield.co.uk. And the One Enfield is simply spelled ONEENFIELD.
Spring into action. Joe Johnson from local business network Love Your Doorstep gets tidying. What's not to love about spring? Following winter, we finally get the chance to put our heavy coats and boots away. Blossom in the trees, the bulbs popping up, snowdrops, daffodils, crocuses, all bringing colour back to our lovely borough. Spring cleaning is one of the first things we think of at this time of year. I'm not sure what it is about this season which sparks the motivation to have a good old clear-out. Maybe the sense of new beginnings. Either way, not all of us have the time or inclination to get on with the task ourselves. If this sounds like you, hop over to the Love Your Doorstep directory and find yourself a cleaner to come and work their magic. They can help you with a one-off full clean to get you back on track. The idea of spring cleaning has reached a whole new level since the Netflix series Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. The modern-day version of the spring clean involves facing up to the stuff in your home and what does and doesn't spark joy. As well as decluttering, new approaches to home organisation are explored. If you like the idea of all of this but can't face tackling it on your own, again, we have people on the Love Your Doorstep directory who specialise in this area. It's not just the inside of our homes that we turn our focus to at spring, however. We are already having an influx of posts on our community forums from people suddenly filled with the desire to do the equivalent of a spring clean with their garden or outdoor space. Better weather sees us wanting to enjoy the outdoors, and our Love Your Doorstep gardeners are on hand to sort this for you. We are fortunate to have plenty of green space around our borough, and it looks particularly stunning when all the spring blossom flowers are in bloom. An annual tradition in Enfield is the Lambing Weekend at Forty Hall Farm, this year taking place on the 23rd to 24th of March. It's lovely to see the hordes of visitors flock to see the newborn lambs while enjoying the grounds of Forty Hall Estate. For me, that's the official sign that spring has sprung. For more information about Love Your Doorstep, email customer service at loveyourdoorstep.co.uk or visit www.loveyourdoorstep.co.uk.
Novel way to write. 3 authors from the same Southgate street have collaborated to create a wacky tale of woe. They say the most important bit of getting a book written is just showing up, but this one actually began by me not showing up. It was 2016 and I'd accepted an invitation to join a creative writing group from Alex Wolfe, a writer friend who lives on my road. Duly added to the email group, I started to read the messages between these men and women of letters, all very different, and felt I was getting to know them already. For various reasons, I couldn't make the first few meetings I was invited to. I could see from the emails being exchanged that people were beginning to doubt if I even existed, and I could hardly blame them. Eventually, I did join, and I've never looked back. But I had the idea that an email exchange between writers, including one who never appears, might make for a fun story. I put the idea to Alex and Martin Jenkins, another new pal from the group, who also lives in our road, and the concept for Kitten on a Fatberg was born. The novel is a farcical account, largely in emails, of a very eccentric writers' group. Characters include Keith, a mercenary sci-fi geek who can bang out 5,000 words before breakfast, Alice, who's been stuck on her first sentence for over 2 years, Lou, whose relentlessly gloomy poems include the notorious Kitten on a Fatberg, and Mavinder, who threatens never to show. Led by Julia, a glamorous housewife with steely ambitions of her own, 7 such budding writers meet every month to read out their work. But it's not long before the group's foibles and insecurities start to emerge, with frankly ludicrous consequences: an exploding sheep's head, cosplay stalker, and an alien mothership invasion. The book took nearly 2 years to write. We each took on a couple of the characters and sent each other messages in character. We read the latest email, found out what other character had been up to, and came up with a response. Every so often we'd go to a pub and try to think about the overall plot. Now we just hope it's as fun to read as it was to write. For more information and to buy a copy of Kitten on a Fatberg, visit www.unbound.com/kitten-on-a-fatberg.
Pub raises £30,000 for good causes. A pub with a selection of hundreds of spirits has raised £30,000 for good causes. Since reopening the Winchmore in Winchmore Hill in 2014, the brother and sister team, Emma and Marc Walsh, raised £30,000 by holding spirit tasting evenings, with the proceeds donated to Noah's Ark Children's Hospice and the Rotary Club. Marc said, "We are honoured. When we took over the Winchmore, we wanted to create a great local and a hub for the community of which people could be proud. We try to make everything at the Winchmore the best we can, and it's fantastic for us and our staff to have our hard work recognised. We couldn't have done it without the support of residents." The judges were bowled over by the choice of 300 spirits, which include many infused at the pub and aged in its cellar. The pair have set themselves a target of raising $15,000 from spirit tastings this year. They have also launched a new campaign to raise money from the Winchmore's drinking water. The couple have ditched bottled water and are filtering and carbonating the pub's tap water, with all the proceeds going towards sanitation projects in developing countries. The Walshes received their award at a ceremony at the Belfry Resort in Sutton Coldfield from comedian Ed Byrne.
And the final article tonight is written by Claire Fisher from Healthwatch Enfield on how NHS leaders and residents are working together to improve quality of life under the heading Boosting Healthy Life Expectancy. In partnership with Enfield Council, the local NHS and voluntary sector, Healthwatch Enfield is developing a new strategy that aims to increase healthy life expectancy for Enfield residents. In other words, living healthy and independent lives as we age, rather than simply living longer but in poor health. Research so far has shown that 3 main behaviours, smoking, lack of exercise, and unhealthy eating, contribute to 4 main diseases: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and lung disease. Unsurprisingly, all these factors are intrinsically intertwined with good mental health. With the focus on developing the detail of Enfield Council's health and well-being strategy, we invited a panel of local NHS and council leaders to attend Healthwatch Enfield's annual conference last month and work alongside more than 100 people. Working together in small groups, local residents and service leaders discussed the range of challenges preventing people from living or switching to a healthy lifestyle. There were lots of creative ideas and solutions put forward by residents, and it was great to see leaders, such as councillors and hospital chief executives, immersed in discussions with them throughout the day. You don't get more consultative than that. The feedback from this event will help inform the final detail of the strategy, which is due to be signed off by the Council's Health and Wellbeing Board in May. Our team is now busy typing up and analysing all the feedback into a formal report. But more importantly, your feedback went direct to the ears of those who make the decisions, so watch this space. Here's one example of feedback given by local residents who participated in Healthwatch Enfield's annual conference. Hearing from councillors and health leaders, meeting with other community champions, and learning about other services and projects going on in the community that I'd not heard about was a key feature of the day. Linking with Enfield's cancer prevention goals, did you know that many cancers are more effectively treatable if caught early? The Council is working on developing an awareness campaign, and we are helping them find out what residents already know about early signs and symptoms of cancer. Please support this really important cause by taking the short survey available at smartsurvey.co.uk/s/cancer awareness. Now, for more information about Healthwatch Enfield and to get in touch, I've got several addresses and numbers here. First of all, you could call 020 8373 6283. You could email info@healthwatchenfield.co.uk. You could tweet at healthwatchenf, or you could visit healthwatchenfield.co.uk.
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So, from the team of John, Kitty, Marc and Danny, and Peter on the controls, it's
Cheerio.
bye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position, and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.